Hi, I'm Vera.
And I'm Spaghetti.
This video is part 3 of the long summer trip we did in 2015. We previously left off at the Aix-les-Bains, where we had spent the last 6 days.
So, without further ado, let's continue where we had left off.
But before we get started, let's show you where the next part of our trip led us.
We cycled back to the Durance River, where we rejoined the Tour du Luberon, this time keeping south of the mountain range. After a short stop in Aix, we met up with the Rhône River, completing the Via Rhôna all the way to the end.
If you recall from the last 2 episodes, we had been blessed with sun for the last 3 weeks. And the good but very hot weather wasn't going to change anytime soon. We departed in good spirits, excited about what we were to discover next.
We had spontaneously made arrangements with some dear friends in Aix. They took us on a day trip to Marseille the following day with the car. Although I had vowed never to make shortcuts with a car again on our trip last year, this turned out to be a great opportunity, as Marseille is difficult to access by bike and is a mess anyway, so it hadn't appeared on my bucket list of places to visit.
We parked the car near the cathedral and set out on foot. Of course, Marseille is a huge city, so it would have been impossible to see all the sights in just a couple of hours. But the remarkable cathedral was the best place to go, because not only is it a beautiful structure, it also boasts a stunningly panoramic view of the whole city.
Marseille is France's second largest city and is known for a multitude of reasons, be that its rich history that goes back to 600 BC, its diverse culture, or the gang violence that can be read about in the news. So there isn't much point in highlighting one aspect at the expense of others. And talking about all of the interesting facts would have me going on forever.
But a fun fact is that in the rest of France, people from Marseille are often referred to as the wild ones, les sauvages, which is a bit derogatory, but shouldn't be taken too seriously. However, wild is sort of a fitting description for the sprawling city.
We then marched down to the modern harbour, which is full of museums and futuristic architecture mixed in with much older classical buildings and structures. This part of Marseille didn't seem wild at all, but relaxed, modern and polished.
Then we returned to Aix. In comparison to Marseille, it is regarded as upper class, and the residents have the reputation of having a stiff upper lip. So it comes as no surprise that the two closely spaced cities rival each other. Although Aix is much smaller, it is just as vibrant, and maybe even more so.
Hallmark of the city are the markets, which spread out all across the old town and are open daily, creating a huge pedestrian zone with a million things to see and discover, try out and observe.
This beautifully kept old town contrasts the modern parts of the city, proving the wealth and recent pace of development of the bustling town. This multi-story bridge even features a waterfall covering its facade.
A further highlight of Aix are the old Roman baths, which are still in use today.
And finally, Aix was home to one of the most influential painters of the 19th century, Paul Cézanne, who was born, lived and died in Aix. Whilst the residents mocked him during his lifetime, his name now appears all across the town, and the city turned his atelier into a tourist attraction, and copies of his works are exhibited in the public park overlooking the city.
After all this walking, it was high time to saddle up and get back on the road again. We cycled back to the Durance River to catch up with the last part of the Tour du Luberon. After completing the full circle, we headed west to Arles, where we would meet up with the Rhône River.
After Marseille and Aix, Arles was the last and smallest of the three major cities we visit on this part of the trip, but is just as renowned for many reasons. Its most prominent one being the Roman amphitheatre that lays in the heart of the old town and hasn't suffered from much decay over the centuries.
And just like Aix, Arles is considered an artist town, although the city was connected to many other famous painters like Picasso, Gauguin, Réartu, and Van Gogh, who settled here and created 300 pieces of artwork before cutting off one of his ears. Yeah, I think we're all somehow familiar with that story. But I hadn't known that there was an unremarkable drawbridge carrying his name, and that it is a tourist attraction. So I was slightly astonished to see a coachload of Asian tourists marching towards it, ready with cameras to take shots. I just about managed to get a shot myself before they had flooded the surroundings.
We then joined up with the last section of the Via Rhôna. The next stop was the sea.
It had felt like it had taken us forever to get there, as we had battled a fierce headwind.
But we were ever so delighted to have arrived right on the beach. So we quickly relieved us of our shoes and ran towards the waves.
The end of this path didn't mean we had reached the end of our trip, which we had continued. First in search of France's most infamous wild campsite to stay the night, and then all the way back up the Rhône to Seyssel, where we had started out 3 weeks before. But as we took some detours back home, we still have much to show you in the next video. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next adventure.
But as this marked a turning point for our trip, we thought it would be an appropriate ending for this video, which I really enjoyed making, and I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, please smash the like button.
So, we look forward to seeing you soon again. Until then, thanks for watching and
Bye
bye.
bye!